April 16th Indian Express News article. First article is related to from cattle control to river linking protest force rollbacks in Gujarat. Maldari community, have to know more about Maldari community. Traditionally cattle rearers they are. Okay. Next article is in the first Maharashtra app maps workers migration for portability of ICDS scheme. Maharashtra government has developed a website-based migration tracking system application to map the movement of vulnerable seasonal migrant workers. MTS project is envisaged to maintain the continuity of integrated child development service like nutrition supply, immunization, health checkup to migrant beneficiaries including children aged up to 18 years. Lactating mothers and pregnant women registered with Anganwadi centers, their migration will be tracked for ensuring the portability of ICDS for their family in their. Okay, that's what all about. Next article that we are moving into is related to Modi, Vietnam leader, holds talks on Ukraine, South China Sea. India-Vietnam Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, which was established during Modi's visit into Vietnam in 2016. They complemented each other on 50th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Modi also reiterated Vietnam's importance as an important pillar of India's Act East policy and Indo-Pacific vision and sought to enhance the scope of bilateral relationship. Modi highlighted the historical and civilian links between the two countries and expressed his happiness on India's involvement in restoration of charm monuments in Vietnam. The leader agreed to enhance the defense partnership between the two countries. Okay, next article is Russia starts delivery of second lot of S-400 missile components. Second regiment of S-400 Trump missile defense system to India. The missile has also already been deployed in such a way that it can cover parts of border with China in the northern sector as well as frontier with Pakistan. In October 2018, India signed $5 billion deal with Russia to buy 5 units of S-400 missile system, despite a warning from US that going ahead with contract may invite sanctions. Next article that we are moving into is related to hope and caution. IMD predicts a normal monsoon, but India must take steps to meet narrowing supply of fertilizer. La Nino conditions prevailing and likely to continue through the 4-month monsoon season. La Nino is the opposite of El Nino, an abnormal warming of the eastern Pacific waters, usually causing heavy rains around South America, but also drought in other western end whose effects percolate to India. IMD counting on neutral IOD Indian Ocean Dipole, a negative Indian Ocean Dipole, wherein Eastern Indian Ocean waters of Indonesia and Australia turn unusually warm relative to western part, is considered bad for the monsoon. The country imports its entire muriate of potash requirements, while it does not manufacture potassic and phosphatic and complex fertilizers. The war in Ukraine and Russia was the world's largest and its next door ally. Belarus, the 6th largest fertilizer exporter in 2020, has only worsened things. Hardly any new imports have been contracted in the past 2 months. It should immediately launch a campaign to promote single superphosphate and complex fertilizers like 20-20-20-0-13 and 10-10-26-26. These contains less phosphorus or potash than diammonium phosphate and muriate of potash, but farmers can be shown ways to apply them in a right dosage. Government should also actively engage with countries such as Canada, Jordan, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Senegal, Togo, even Russia, Belarus to contract more supplies both for Kharif and next Rabi season. Next article is Wars Many Victims. A Russian invasion has created a food energy supply crisis in the developing world. This crisis would throw up to 1.7 billion people, over 1/5 of the humanity into poverty and destitution. Ukraine and the Russian Federation provides 30% of the world's wheat and barley, 1/5 of its maize, over half of its sunflower oil. Together, their grain feed the poorest and most vulnerable people, providing more than 1/3 of the wheat. wheat imported by 45 Africans and least developed countries. At the same time, Russia is the world's top natural gas exporter and second largest oil exporter. But the war is preventing farmers from tending their crops while closing ports, ending grain export, disrupting supply chain, and sending prices skyrocketing. Brent oil price have risen more than 60% over the last years, while natural gas and fertilizer prices have more than doubled. On food, we are urging all countries to keep market open, resist hoarding and unjustified unnecessary export restrictions. This is not the time for protectionism. There is enough food for every country to get through this crisis if we act together. But only medium and long term solution is to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy. Next article that we are moving into is related to Commerce Ministry eases norms under EPCG scheme. What is EPCG? Export Promotion Capital Goods Scheme. In order to reduce the compliance requirements and facilitate the ease of doing business, capital goods are allowed duty free and subject to an export obligation. Authorization holders under the scheme has to export the finished goods. Export the finished goods worth 6 times of the actual duty saved in the value terms in 6 years. The export promotion capital goods scheme is to facilitate the import of capital goods for producing quality goods and services and enhance India's manufacturing competitiveness. Next article is Russia Vasip Singh. Ukraine says over 900 civilian bodies found in Kyiv region. Defense Ministry promised Friday to ramp up the missile attacks on Ukraine capital in response to Ukraine's alleged aggression on Russian territory. Sinking of the Russian Navy Black Sea Fleet flagship is seen as a major symbolic loss for Moscow in a war that has not gone according to Kremlin's plan. Loss of the ship. Okay. Next article that we are moving into is related to economics of oil bonds. Finance Minister has said government cannot bring down taxes, thus oil prices, because it has to pay for oil bonds issued by UPA. What are oil bonds and to what extent they do tie with the government hands? Let us see that. Finance Minister has sought to counter such criticism by claiming the current government cannot bring down taxes because it has to pay for oil bonds issued by Congress-led UPA government. Let us see what are oil bonds, why are they issued. When fuel prices are too high for domestic consumers, government in the past often asked oil marketing companies to avoid charging consumers the full price. But if the oil companies don't get paid, they would become unprofitable. To address this, government said it would pay differences. But again, if the government paid the amount in cash, it would have pointless. It would have been pointless because then government would had to tax the same people to collect the money to pay the OMGC. This is where oil bonds come in. Oil bond is an IOU or a promissory note issued by the government to OMC in lieu of cash that government would have given them, so that these companies don't charge the public full prices of fuel. Oil marketing companies, the sum of say rupees 1000 crore in 10 years, and to compensate that OMC for not having this money straight away, the government will pay it, say 8%, that is rupees 80 crore each year until the bond matures. This, by issuing such oil bonds, government of the day is able to protect or subsidize the consumers without either ruining our profitability of OMC or running a huge budget deficit itself. How much of UPA era oil bonds have NDA government paid back? Let us see that. Annual interest payment, the final payment at the end of the bond tenure. By issuing such bond, government can defer full payment by 5 or 10 or 20 years. In the interim, just pay the interest cost. is this amount large enough to restrict finance ministry from bringing down the taxes? Second is to look the total revenue earned by the government between 2014 to 2022 from taxing petroleum products. This amount is more than 43 lakh crore. That means the total payout of NDA government till date on account of oil bond is just 2.2% of the total revenues earned during this period. Still isn't a bad idea to issue such a bond. This is why each year the fiscal deficit is so keenly tracked. NDA government itself, which has issued a bond worth 2.779 lakh crore to recapitalize the public sector banks. These bonds will be paid by the government till 2036. Why dominating Black Sea is crucial for Russia? Moscow, the warship Moscow sinking 600 foot in the Black Sea, fleet a serious setback to Russia. The reversal is both military and symbolic proof that its vessel can no longer operate with impunity, a damaging blow to morale. Russia and Black Sea. Famed water body that links to Sea of Marmara through the Bosporus and then to Aegean through the Dardanelles has traditionally been Russia's warm water gateway to Europe. For Russia, it is a both stepping stone to Mediterranean and strategic buffer between NATO and itself. A Black Sea fleet comprises Russian naval warship in the Black Sea, Sea of Azov and the eastern Mediterranean, and is headquartered in Sevastopol, the major port of Crimean Peninsula. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea. Black Sea in war. Russia was also expected to focus its military efforts on Odisha to the west of Crimea. If the Odisha region were to fall as well, Ukraine would lose access to its entire Black Sea coastline, would in effect to be reduced to a landlocked country. Very last article that we are moving into is related to what's in the new museum to Prime Minister, concept, content and technology. Pradhan Mantri Sangralaya at Teen Murthy Estate in New Delhi on Thursday. The museum recalls the tenure of 14 Prime Ministers from Jawaharlal Nehru to Manmohan Singh, various challenges they navigate while leading the country. Okay, this is what the museum is all about. Okay, that's all. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.